Janine rolls with style with all her camera gear. She uses a sheets bag.
I don't like to carry another bag.
That's like a lot lighter.
The amazing thing about life is the ability to learn and learn and learn all your life. It is Saturday morning and today I'm headed off to do something I have never done before in my life. But first, I'm gonna have to let you in on an ironic little secret. You likely know this about me, but I tend to be an impulsive personality where I jump into things before I look and I just figure it'll all work out and I'll figure it out as I go. And it was no different when I started Mama Java, my coffee company. I just thought it'd be fun to make a brand of delicious coffee for mothers specifically because moms deserve the best of coffee because they have a hard job in this life. And so I launched the brand Mama Java, and here's the secret. I am actually not what's considered a coffee connoisseur. My knowledge in the field of coffee is probably this much in a big pool of knowledge. But being that I am the type of person that just wants to do something and jumps in without first figuring everything out, my husband and I started tasting coffee from many different roasters until we found a coffee that we absolutely loved and a roaster that would team up with us. And that's how we started. So there's the ironic truth. I started a coffee brand not knowing a ton about coffee other than what I liked. And so today, I am taking my team and we are heading into Lancaster to take barista classes. And the funny thing is, none of us are planning to be baristas. We simply want to go for two things: to increase our knowledge and experience in the coffee field and to learn how to make better coffee at home. We are taking barista classes and we're not even going to be baristas. All right, meet the Mama Java team. This is Rachel. She is in charge of social media and marketing, some marketing. And this is Sherry. She does all customer communications, customer service, and they're both amazing. None of us are gonna be baristas, but we're all just going to, just for the hang of it. So, are you excited?
Great. I am very excited. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's gonna be a full day. We have like 3 or 4 classes packed in. And there's one little hiccup. I am the last person standing in my family that hasn't gotten sick with this cold and a fever. And this morning, I think it's starting to slowly creep in. I talked to Sherry and Rachel and they are great with continuing and me still going along. I told them I could stay back, but I'll try to keep my distance, not make anyone else sick. And I'm hoping I will still be standing by the end of the day.
I don't know about you. I like to tell the truth, but the truth seems to change every Tuesday.
Drag them.
When I watch the news, man, it just gives me the blues. No one listens, just on a mission to hear their own voice. It's a wild world, we're all trying to find our place in it.
We have arrived! And I'm pretty sure we're not gonna get murdered.
We're not used to downtown.
Downtown. It's actually kind of cute.
Janine rolls with style with all her camera gear. She uses a sheets bag.
I don't like to carry another bag. They're making fun of me because I don't carry like a purse. And I was putting all my snacks and stuff in my sheets bag and camera gear. They're making fun of me. I'm just not classy. Okay. Hello.
Janine?
Yes, I'm Janine. I'm sorry. I'm Janine. This is Rachel. Hi. This is Sherry.
Pleasure,
Hold
Sherry.
on,
Nice to meet you
love
guys.
real tight.
All of our coffee is picked by hand. Excellent.
It's a wild world, we're all trying to find our place in it.
Pound of coffee is
It's a
about
wild world and no one seems to understand it. It's a wild world, but there ain't no way I'm gonna quit it. Love is all I've got to give away.
Just a little bit more for it. And then you're just
Love
Just
is
get
all
straight
we've
down.
got to give
You
away.
have like, yeah, nice healthy. It's like a lot lighter. If it happens too early. This shot only weighed 29.5 grams. Then let's taste it. The first thing that we should always ask ourselves today is, does it taste the same? It's kind of like your first question.
Not at all. That is crazy.
That is way better.
Yeah, when you take a sip, there's definitely a little bit more of like, maybe kind of feeling it as like effervescence, like on the tip of your tongue.
Are we wrong?
Yeah,
What?
usually the second one is sweetness. The third one is bitterness. But bitterness also isn't.
All right, we just came back. We went to get lunch. I don't know if you can see everyone here. And we thought we knew a little bit about espresso. I did actually know more than I thought. However, what are you guys' thoughts?
Well, I definitely know what a good shot and a bad shot tastes like.
Yeah.
If I drink straight espresso. I had an idea whenever I would make an Americano. I could like, well, this isn't a good shot, but I'm going to drink it anyway. I'm not going to waste it.
Yeah.
But there's no comparison to drinking it straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first shot had them all bending over in horrors.
It's amazing how the grind size can
Yeah.
affect everything.
Yeah.
Like it's bizarre how many variables there are into what's a good shot and what's not a good shot.
Including yourself.
And tamping.
Yeah, tamping.
Tamping has a huge part in it.
So right now we were trying to get the tones. First, at the tip of your tongue, you taste the acidity. And then you're supposed to taste sweetness. Notes of sweetness, and then there's a little bit of bitterness at the end. And so we were just drinking shot after shot, doing all these different variables, time, how coarse the grind size is. I knew all that. But yeah, just how everything works together, and there's so many variables. If you want to bring out certain tones, you do this. And anyway, so it's super fascinating. And the only thing that's kind of depressing me about this is how much practice you need. And we're just home baristas here.
Maybe take a couple coffees a day.
Yeah.
There's a reason that when you walk into certain coffee shops, some are amazing, others aren't. I can hardly see the side if you're in here. Anyway, what are some of the funny things he said? If you walk into a coffee shop and they put the portafilter up on top, and that's where they're storing it, he walks out and will not, or he won't order espresso from them because
I didn't realize
you
how
need to
much
have a
temperature-
hot.
Yeah, temperature affects everything. too.
Yeah, it does. So you need a hot portafilter. Go ahead.
So keeping it on top, it will be cold.
Cold.
And you want it warm. So it needs to be on the group head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the hot water, instead of going through the coffee and getting the proper extraction, goes into the cold metal and then makes a bad shot. So there we go. We learned at least that. And then the other thing is these machines that they use at coffee shops, you can dial them in so nicely, perfectly, and ours are a little bit more basic. So y'all want to donate and give me a professional grade. All right, so we signed up for 3 classes. We just got the espresso one done and my stomach feels a little bit weird, so we did go get burgers so we can eat. It's like almost 2 o'clock. We still have 2 classes to go. We signed up for Milk Lab, that'll be fun. And we also did manual brewing, so would that include drip coffee?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and like French press. I think.
Yes,
is
French, and then
pour.
pour-overs. I'm excited about pour-overs.
Same.
Yeah, so we have a lot of, I'm enjoying it. It's going,
It's fun.
It's going
I'm
way-
geeking out.
I know, same. So I don't buy handbags, but I geek out over these kinds of things. This is what I'm using, and they're just making fun of me. How adorable is this? It's like tucked in, just your quintessential coffee shop. Well, it's a roastery actually here where we are. Anyway, I'm enjoying this so terribly much, and now I just want to own a coffee shop and work in a coffee shop and like direct it and get really good at this, and it's going to take forever to get really good at it. The amazing thing about life is the ability to learn and learn and learn all your life. It's what makes life exciting. But I really want to know how to dial in a shot right now today and perfect it, and that's not going to happen. Hello.
Welcome back. You brought back the bag.
I did bring back the bag. Oh, that's funny. I have children. My brain gets left with so many things at home, and so I'm like, if I just get myself out the door in my bag, I'm doing good.
That's all that you need. Okay.
That's all I need.
So that the tip of my steam on is about half in, half out of my milk. We always have to be moving. So if we want to increase it, like start to some of the surface, turn my steam on, drop my pitcher. So it's pretty liquidy, right? And glossy. A few visible bubbles. I'm going to angle like this. Pour right here. See how there's all that white? We can pour up and sink it. This one, I have a little bit too much air here.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's okay. Then right hand all the way to the left. Right hand back on the pitcher. Touch your thermometer. Okay, and that's probably enough air.
Oh my word! Turn it off or no? This is way too fast. Your shot just keeps going. It's hot.
Oh, I didn't watch it. Yeah, now turn off. Sorry. Alright, so purge and clean. Yep. Here, this guy.
Yep.
Yeah, use the damp part. We can move a little bit closer and start pouring faster and faster and faster. And faster and faster and faster, and there's our dot. So.
Fun.
Yeah, but you know.
I thought you were going to show me art.
Well, this is art. This is where we start with a dot.
And you have a complete round. You have a complete ring.
Exactly.
White in the center.
Yep.
Okay.
Because our milk is kind of 3D, too much air. See this watery color? That means we're pouring a little too fast or a little too close to the sides. Okay, we're 3/4. Goes right over the spout. Controlling the rate of flow of the water. For 100 grams, I want it to come right back up to that level. Chemex is really nice.
Okay.
So the holes are tiny.
Okay.
So, these times are estimates.
Drip.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty different from the last coffee.
Woo.
So let's take a look. I could probably do with like one less.
It was a full day of learning, but we thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was so grateful that I did not get sick by the end of the day. I want to end this video with a quick coffee 101 to leave a few simple tips for you all to make sure you're getting the most out of your coffee. I recommend that for any of the tips that I give, you just go ahead and Google it and do research yourself. For instance, the first very simple tip that makes a big difference in your coffee is your water, the quality of your water. Trust me, we go camping with our church every year, and the campground water is absolutely terrible, and I could not figure out why the coffee was tasting so horrible, and we figured out it was the water. Water has a huge impact, and there's all kinds of ways to test your water to make sure your water is the best. So just go ahead and search that. So one, quality of water. Second, a lot of people think that freezing your coffee beans is a way to keep them fresh longer, and that is not the case. That actually pretty much defeats the purpose of buying fresh roasted coffee. All you need to do to store your coffee is keep it in a closed container, sealed, preferably out of sunlight. So our coffee bags are tin foil lined, so that means there's no light coming in. You can just store them in the bags and keep them sealed. Also, coffee is the best when it's fresh roasted, which is why we focus on fresh roasted coffee. Most of our coffee is roasted and shipped the same day. It might not always fall on exactly the same day, but it is freshly roasted and you're going to get it soon after the roast date. Fresh roasted coffee is best used within like 2 weeks of the roast date, up to a month. Once it gets after a month, you're definitely losing that freshness, and so I wouldn't recommend ordering huge batches if you can't use it up within a month. Tip number 3 is that when coffee is ground, it loses its freshness within 45 minutes. Now, we do offer to grind your coffee and ship it out to you, but I highly, highly recommend that you buy your own grinder and grind your own beans, and you grind it right before you brew it. Don't grind it and store it in a container. It completely defeats the purpose of fresh coffee. Along with this tip, this is something that a lot of people are blown away by. I was too when I first learned this, but almost more important than your brewing method or your coffee machine is your grinder. A lot of people buy these little blenders, like you put it in the top and you just blend it. It's like a $20 grinder. Those are the worst. They do not grind evenly. You can't dial in your grind size. You're just sort of guessing, and it's kind of bruising the beans and just mashing everything up. This might be a shock, but I'm going to recommend a grinder below that's actually considered a budget grinder, but yet you're getting the most quality for your money, and it's still like $150. It's expensive. But that is cheap in the world of grinders for a quality grinder. Normally you're getting to like 500, 600, 700, 800 is considered a mid grinder. And then once you get over like 1,000, 1,500, people will even spend thousands of dollars on grinders. However, just for your home use, the one that many people recommend, I will have linked below. I think it's about $150. And you can dial in grind size for either your drip coffee, for French press, or for espresso. So it has a wide range. You can go from coarse to fine. Highly recommend you get your own grinder and invest, especially if you're buying fresh roasted coffee. It's amazing. And by the way, I used to have one, but don't do what I did. I was trying to gift a bag of coffee to a friend, and I was trying to grind the whole thing through the little grinder, and I burnt out the motor. So I used to have one, but we never reinvested. Sometime hopefully I will again. So besides quality water and quality beans, and besides making sure your coffee is fresh, freshly ground, there's other factors that go into coffee. And this is what I find so fascinating. You can have one bag of beans and you can get so many different flavor profiles out of how you brew it, the time, the extraction process. When we were taste testing different espresso shots, they tasted like a completely different coffee depending on how you pulled the shot. I'm gonna go over that a little bit, but let's first talk about some of the variables within coffee. So we all know that your coffee to water ratio matters. If you want a stronger cup of coffee, you're gonna be adding more grinds to your ratio of water. So a very simple tip is basically 1 tablespoon for every 6 ounces of water equals a lighter coffee, 2 tablespoons equals a stronger coffee. So for every 6 ounces, which some coffee pots are different, but it should come out to about every cup on your coffee maker equals about 6 ounces. Some of them are 8. So just play around with that however you wish. All right, so we'll call that dose. Number 1 is dose, your coffee grounds to water ratio. 2 is time. This is obviously how much time it takes to brew. You can take, with like a pot like this, I can set it to take a longer time where it drips water through the coffee slower. And so the water has more time to get flavor out of the coffee. So you're going to get a stronger cup. But there's a lot more variables in here, and this all starts mixing it up. It's very fascinating. All right, so to clarify, we have the dose, the amount of coffee to water, and also time, however long the water has had time to seep through the coffee, whether it's in a coffee machine, whether you're doing a pour over, or whether you're doing an espresso machine, it's all the same. Number 3 is the temperature of the water. This you don't really have to worry about, especially if your coffee machine is set correctly. Typically, temperature is 195 to 205 degrees. Now, if you're doing a pour over or a French press, you need to make sure your water is the correct temperature before you pour it over. You don't want it too hot or it's going to ruin the taste of your coffee. And you don't want it too cold or you're not going to get the full flavor out. So number 4 is your grind size. I want to talk the most about this, but we're going to circle back to that one. And then number 5 is turbulence. Turbulence, he explained it like this. So basically, if it's a drip coffee machine, for instance, how it drips through the coffee. Some coffee machines, it just comes right through the center, kind of just makes a hole. It doesn't get everything across the top of the coffee. If you're doing a pour over, you're the one in charge, and it makes a difference how you pour. Like, are you pouring evenly? Are you getting everything wet? There's different methods of pouring. It's fascinating. And then if you have an espresso machine, you're tamping. And so that's also the turbulence, how much pressure you put on. But we're not going to focus on that too much. And then last of all, if you're using an espresso machine, there is pressure. And so you have different bars of pressure, and that also makes a difference in the flavor profile. There's so many variables. Anyway, but let's come back to grind size. This is why having a grinder where you can dial in specifically is so important, because it makes a huge, huge difference in the taste of your coffee. There's different grind settings, whether you're using like a drip coffee machine or whether you're doing pour over, whether you're doing cold brew. You want coarser coffee for cold brew. You want just like a regular, I think it's like a medium grind size for drip coffee, and then you want a fine grind size for espresso. But you can't really just set it and forget it, because coffee shops actually, when they're setting their espresso machines, if it's a really good coffee shop, they'll be dialing it in every 2 hours, because so much plays into how a shot is pulled. So depending on the day, if there's a lot of humidity or not, atmospheric pressure makes a difference on how your shot pulls. So as the day progresses, you might have to tweak it. When your beans were ground, if they were really fresh, it's going to change also a little bit how your shot pulls. If it's an older bean, maybe 2-3 weeks old, it's going to change. And so it's one of those things you can't just say, oh, I'm going to set my grind setting and just completely forget about it all the time. Usually you're fairly close once you have it dialed in, but you might always have to tweak it every little bit. I'm going to be showing that on the espresso machine. Now picture with me 2 different jars. In one jar, I have a jar full of little pebbles, about this big. In another jar, it's packed full of sand, really fine sand. If I fill the one jar with water, with the pebbles, how fast is the water going to go down through the stones versus the sand? So we know that the finer the particles, like in the sand, it takes much longer for the water to go down through, whereas the pebbles, it goes down through quickly. So think about coffee in the same way. The coarser your grind, the bigger the pebbles, the faster your water is going to go through that. The finer the grind, the longer it takes. So the longer it's taking, the more it's pulling out of that coffee, the longer the water has in contact with the coffee. So there's a science to this. If it takes too long to get through, if it's too fine, you might end up with a bitter, sour tasting coffee. So you want to keep playing around with your grind sizes until you get that perfect amount of time. And you can look all this up. They have like timetables, how fast a coffee should be going through for different types of brewing methods. It gets very technical very quickly, and I'm still learning. I have a fairly good grasp on it, I believe. But if you want to really dive into this and actually learn specific grind settings, time that it takes to get through that grind setting, how it all plays into the flavor profile, you're gonna have to look that up yourself and just study on your own. I'm just explaining how all these different variables really make a difference in the taste of your coffee. Let's move over to the espresso machine. I'm gonna do a really quick rundown of how you're supposed to pull a balanced shot. So let's head on over there. Now, this is a home espresso machine, and they're sort of set to just be automated, and it's harder to dial in exactly like they do in coffee shops, but it's still not impossible. If you have one of these machines, this is the Breville Barista Impress. I do have a tamper on the side, so I'm not manually tamping. It's kind of handy, but that is one of the variables to your shot. If you put too much pressure on your tamp, or if you don't get it quite even, it's going to have a hard time flowing through. If there's too much pressure, if there's not enough pressure, it goes through too fast. If it's not tamped evenly, it's going to like flow to one side and get like an off tasting shot. So your tamping is super important. It takes a lot of practice. I was struggling with hand tamping when we were there. So we're going to leave that variable alone. Now my machine is set up that it just automatically has a certain time that it extracts. My portafilter usually holds around 17.5 to 18 grams of coffee. So the general practice is that you want a 1-to-2 ratio. However many grams of coffee you have in here, let's say this is 18 grams, you want your final espresso shot to be double that, 36 grams, somewhere around that range. It doesn't have to always be exact. You can play with this. And then the key is that it extracts in a certain amount of time. So if you get that 1-to-2 ratio, and the standard is somewhere around 30 seconds, give or take a little bit. It can be a little bit under or a little bit over. But if it takes about 30 seconds to get double the amount of espresso, then that is considered the perfect shot. However, I have found out from playing with my machine that that just doesn't seem to be right. And I began to realize that if I go and extract for 40 seconds to get that more 1-to-2 ratio, I consider it a more balanced shot. You have a lot more acidity in the front, like a little bit of a punch, then you get to that sweetness. I'm still learning all the tones, but I just know it's a much better tasting shot because this is a slower machine. It just takes longer to get that pre-infusion and the pressure build up than it does on a professional machine. Another tip is to make sure that your portafilter is hot. Now on a lot of professional machines, just by having it in here, it will heat it up, but since this is a home machine, it doesn't do that. So it's best to run hot water through this so it heats up the metal before you do it, because what happens is if the hot water is coming through and it needs to heat up the metal first before the coffee gets fully infused, then you're losing some of that flavor. So if the metal is already hot, it can immediately go and start infusing the coffee better. All right, I ran this under hot water, and you want to make sure it's perfectly dry as well, so there's no channeling which means where coffee just follows like a certain channel because it's wet and it goes through there more. I have my kitchen scales here where we're going to weigh the portafilter. So I'm going to tare it to 0, and I'm going to fill up my portafilter. This sort of automatically doses. I'm going to weigh it, and it's at 17 grams. So if we're doing a 1-to-2 ratio, we're shooting for 34 grams of espresso. I will have this little scale linked below. What's really handy is it has a timer on here because these machines don't have timers. Now, let me just show you how it works. If you have a machine like this, similar to this, I'm not sure, I think both styles would do the same. Glass underneath, and then I'm gonna tare it so it's 0. Now, if you just hit the 2-cup button, which I'm doing a double espresso shot, it's just going to automatically start and automatically shut it off to the pre-programmed time. But if you want to control your time, you need to hold it in for 3 seconds, and then it'll start and it will not turn off until you hit it again. After you hit it again, it will pre-program that and do that amount of time the next time. But I'm always playing around with it, so I'm constantly doing it manually. Now, what I'm going to do, I have this little timer button here. I'm going to start it and then hit the timer. And once again, we're hoping that this pulls the shot for this machine within about 40 seconds to get to that 34 grams. Now, if it was a fancy coffee shop machine, it would be more in the 30-second range. And it can depend. Like some people like it more like 25 seconds, others like it more 35. But like I said, I think for myself, I've been finding around 40 seconds is the best. So I'm gonna hold it for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3. And when it started, I set my timer. The timer is going and the weight is creeping up. So I don't think this is going to be a great shot because it's not going fast enough. So it's already at almost 40 seconds and we are only at 28 grams of coffee. So I'm going to turn it off. It's not terrible, but we're going to try this again. So now the only variable we're changing is the grind size. It's obviously too fine, like the sand, and it's going through too slowly. So for this one, I'm going to turn it up to 1 click coarser, and we're going to try it again, and hopefully that will get the perfect amount, perfect shot. So make sure it's dry. All right, so I changed my grind setting. Going to grind again. Whoops, I forgot to weigh it. I forgot to pre-weigh it, but I know that it's around 17, 18 grams. Typically. Now I had to tamp it twice, which isn't good. I'm going to tare it, do a manual brew again, set the timer a little bit better. We were at 40 seconds when we quit, and we have 32.4 grams of coffee. So we were getting closer. So this one is much closer and it looks really good. So a good sign of a good espresso shot is when you look at it on the crema on top. You have brown speckling on the outside, like dark speckling. You have the light brown, and then you have some white in the middle. There's too many glares in here, but there's a little bit of white. It's a much better shot. And I would, for myself, I would consider this great, close enough, because I don't like wasting coffee. You can waste a lot of coffee trying to dial it in. Now the problem is, I just ran out of that bag of beans, and I have to open up a fresh bag for my next batch, which is going to change it again a little bit. However, that kind of gives you an idea. If I were to go back, I would change it one more time, a little bit coarser, and then hopefully I would be getting around that 36 grams in 40 seconds, and that would be the perfect shot. I hope that all makes sense. It definitely can be a little frustrating and overwhelming when you're learning it. Because sometimes I'll have it and I think it just needs one more notch, and then suddenly it just comes spilling out and nothing makes sense. Or then and I think it all has to do with this type of machine. They're not as consistent as like a pro level. So you have to work with what you have, but I have been able to get some really good shots out of this machine. So if you want to take your coffee to the next level, whether you have a drip machine or you're doing pour overs, I definitely recommend buying a grinder first. And if you have one of these machines, I definitely recommend starting to play around every day with your grind size. Get a little scale like this. I will have this one linked below. It's perfect because it's small enough that it fits underneath. It has a timer. But to summarize, there are 6 different variables for your coffee. First off, we have dose, the amount of coffee that you have compared to the water, so your ratio. 2, you have the time, the amount of time that the water is in contact with the coffee. 3 is temperature, which you pretty much don't have to worry about that for machines. And then 4 is your grind size, how that really affects the flavor of your coffee. 5 is turbulence, which is you, whether you are pouring over yourself, whether it's your coffee machine, if it has like a shower head or just like a single drip. Those are horrible, don't get those. Or whether it's your tamping, that's all on you. And then last of all, for espresso machines, you have pressure. And so, yes, you change one variable of any of these and it affects the flavor of your coffee. So super fascinating, super fun. It's a continuing journey. Hope you got something out of it. If you haven't tried Mama Java yet, or if you're a fan of Mama Java and would like to place another order, I'm going to have a 15% off coupon code just for you guys, just for this weekend, down below in the description. I know this is a little bit different of a video, but I hope you enjoyed coming along. My YouTube channel here is pretty much just following the random things that we do and experiences that we have. Thanks a lot for being here, and God bless.